Talk.
Hello. Welcome to another Real Talk Show, Real Family Talk. This is your host, Jay Real. Hope everybody's having a great evening tonight. I am. It's Tuesday. Every Tuesday night is an awesome night as far as I'm concerned. Let's see. Let's go ahead and welcome everybody in the building, though. We got Miss McCrae's back in the building. How you doing, Miss McCrae?
I am blessed. Hello, everybody.
You seem like you feeling great today.
I am. Feeling real good.
They got Miss Monica's in the building. How you doing, Miss Monica?
Doing good. How you doing, J Real?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. We got Jeremy's in the building. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm good. How's everybody doing?
We got Mr. Micah King's here. How you doing, Mr. King?
Indeed.
And we got a guest joining us tonight from B.J. Adams and Associates. It's B.J. Adams herself. Miss Barbara Adams is here. How you doing tonight, Barbara?
I'm doing great.
We thank you for coming out too, Barbara.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're going to talk taxes in a little bit. That is what they do at B.J. Adams and Associates, if you're not aware. One of the things they do. If it's taxes, they definitely do that for you, and generally helping you manage your business, payroll, and a lot of other things. But I'll let her tell you about that in a few minutes, even throughout the year. So just don't call her in February. Call her 12 months a year. Is that right?
That's right.
All right. But real quick, I just want to grab a couple of opinions. This one, and not so much because I'm intrigued by the story. More than anything, I'm just blown away how much of a story it seems to be, which is this the Manti Te'o kid, and what happened to him. Generally speaking, they call it they've given it a term these days. They call it catfish, and essentially what that is, that's what happens when you begin a relationship online. And for some unknown determined amount of time, maybe it's a year, maybe it's 6 months, whatever the case may be. I think in his case, I think it was a little over a year. But what happens at the end of this great relationship, or so it seems, is that you find out that the person whom you thought you were talking to is not the person that you've been speaking with for that period of time. So that's what happened to this young man. There's even a show out there that kind of chronicles people who have experienced this event. And of course, people are just blown away more than anything that, how can this man carry on this relationship for what he describes as an intimate relationship for a number of years, and then, of course, not realize that, he wasn't talking to a real girl, if you will. He was talking to somebody's fictional person. But the thing about the story that really blows me away is the reaction that they have in the football world. Because now the suggestion is he clearly can't be the effective linebacker that he is, because if he was that good, there's no way in the world he would have been caught up in this scheme. And so they're trying to say, his draft stock is going to go down. Teams are going to start to question him, and now he was initially considered a first rounder. Now he may be a second rounder, which means he's going to lose a few $1 million. It's all that means. But it's like, really? Because the man got caught up in, whirlwind relationship, I suppose. And at the end, you get duped. It's the internet. You don't know who you're talking to on the internet. You think you know, but you really don't know who you're talking on the internet. And I mean, it could happen to anybody. I don't really understand why that somehow now translates to his ability on the field. That's what kind of threw me for a loop, is the idea that now, his draft stock is hurt. Teams are going to question his ability to be an effective linebacker, all because he got duped in a relationship.
What gets me is, why is it a big deal? Why is this on the news that this happened to this man? I mean, so much drama goes on in so many other people's lives that actually matter. Why does this matter that he got duped? I don't understand why it's so big of a news. That's what kind of gets me.
Well, I mean, from the beginning of the collegiate season. That was the story that followed him, along with Notre Dame's remarkable season of being undefeated. So every game, because I think his grandmother passed, this all started in September. The grandmother passed, and then the so-called girlfriend passed. So every game they played, that was the story. So every hit he made, every win, every tackle, all these big things that he was doing on the field, that was the background story. They were saying he was playing through so much heartache and pain. And so this carried him throughout the season into the Heisman Trophy race. So this whole time, this whole mystique and era around him turned out to be false.
That's he didn't even win the Heisman.
No.
If he
was
would've won-
runner-up. He was runner-up.
Runner-up ain't winning. If he would have won the Heisman, then I would understand. Johnny Football won the Heisman. We ain't even talking about him no more.
He don't want you to talk about him because he gonna end up not playing because he's showing up at every NBA game on the front row. How he get them seats?
Kicking it. Freshman.
That man got an agent. That man got an agent.
All the more reason for him to be ineligible if he got an agent in college.
He's about to mess himself up.
No, I don't know. It's a big story just to say all the notoriety he's gotten the whole year. But I would question his draft stock. I would question his decision making. Like, first of all, you a college football player who been in the limelight. You pretty much was a high recruit coming out of high school. Why are you having a relationship on the internet anyway? I mean, I know it's Notre Dame. I know, it might be slim pickings up there, but Chicago ain't too far away. Indiana University ain't too far away. Purdue ain't too far away. I mean, come on now. There's some real people somewhere,
They also, because he's a Mormon. So they were talking about.
Oh, is he? I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
Right.
he is a Mormon.
He's a
All the more
Mormon.
reason to be questioning why is he having a relationship online?
Well,
If
that
you're a
was
Mormon.
he has these strict rules. His upbringing, he's still a virgin. He has all these virtues
I
about
don't believe
himself.
that, by the way.
Well, hey, that's the story that has been put out there. So he's started this relationship, this harmless relationship with this young lady, and it obviously didn't get physical because he never really saw her. But that plays into the story of him being Mormon and sticking to all his religious beliefs and being this all-star kid. And it's all kind of just crumbling to the floor. I think that's the story.
You know what I think? I think more than anything, the media, because they're the ones that sort of hyped up his story in the first place. I think they felt duped, based on the idea that this was all fake. And then as a result, you're not going to dupe the media.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You're not just going to dupe the media. So I feel like it's kind of like a get back, if you will, for them feeling jilted that the fact that this whole story, as it turns out, was fake, because they need a fall guy. You know what I mean? And it sort of goes kind of back to Tim Tebow. Nobody's that good. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's that good. Like there's no way that this quote unquote good guy, let this go by. He had, he's got to have some kind of blame, and so they want to stoke the fire on this kid and say, you're not that good. You had to know something. It was too blown up. Like they said, he sent flowers to the funeral supposedly, and it's like, well, obviously there was no funeral.
Right.
So where did the flowers go?
That's the question. Where did the flowers go?
Where did the flowers go? Who got the flowers?
I mean, there's some stuff in it that don't sound right, but it like I said, the thing that just bothers me is just I don't see the connection and how that affects his draft status because again he got duped. I mean, he got duped just like a lot of other normal people who go on the internet hoping to find love, and they're unsuccessful. It happens to millions of people, I'm sure, every year. I don't see why it's a big deal what it has to do to your profession. It happens.
But I think
love closes your eyes and you get blind when you think you're in love.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with, when you're in, like Jeremy was saying, in the limelight, you have to be very cautious of your actions. And if you do things that just don't make a lot of sense, I don't know the whole story, so I don't know all the, the details, but, you're sending flowers to somebody, you've never seen them in person, you've never talked to them over the phone before this, all those other things that leads to questioning your ability to make, appropriate decisions, and what are you going to do on the field if you become emotionally unstable. How are you going to handle those kind of situations, when things get good and when you start making serious money? Are you going to then go online and start trying to pick up other women online and cause other scandals and other type of situations? So I think that's why, even though yes, I do think that they probably are like they're upset with him, so they're getting back with him as well. That leads to the questions as to his ability to, be able to make good judgments in his life as well as on the team.
Well, I'll say this. If there's one person that will more than likely not be doing any more online dating, it's got to be Mantal Tate.
You think that, though. You think that.
If nobody else is going to watch out for that, I would think Mantal Tate will not be searching for love online.
Yeah, I tell you what really hurt his draft status. The way them Alabama running backs ran all over him, that's what's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Because those are the type of guys he could be looking at when you get in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. I think everybody everybody in the football world thought Notre Dame was outmatched in the first place. I don't know if they're gonna hold that up against them. I think the record was they put up 80 points right down his throat. Every time they ran the play, it ran right by him.
Missed tackles and everything.
He was the one missing.
Instability.
He was the one missing.
Him and the rest of the defense.
Well, I'm just saying. He the leader. He the middle linebacker. Ray Lewis would have missed all them tackles.
Nah, Ray wouldn't have missed all them.
Not even in college.
Nah, he wouldn't have missed all them tackles. We'll move on, though, from Mr. Teo. Good luck to him in whatever he decides or in his draft stock. I'm sure he'll make it to the league at some point. 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680 is the number. We can go ahead and talk to BJ Adams here. Give us a call, too, if you have questions for BJ Adams. I'm sure she'll be happy to help you and pass along her number if she needs to further help you as well. 407-894-1680 is the number. So, Barbara, go ahead and tell them what you do.
Okay, we do a lot of things at BJ Adams. Right now is the crunch time, which is tomorrow. It's the first time that they delayed it on January 22nd, but tomorrow is the day of the first time being able to e-file for customers on their 2012 tax returns. So we do taxes. We also handle accounting, books and records for businesses, for nonprofit organizations, for sole proprietors, anybody who has a business. We handle, your books and records. Make sure you're in compliance with the federal government. One of the things that's upcoming that I'm doing is doing a book, and it's called Survival Guide for Nonprofit Organizations, and just to help you make sure you're keeping good book record keeping and in compliance with the IRS, because at one point or another, it's not when, but it's they are going to be eventually auditing a lot of churches, nonprofit organizations, because a lot of those companies are not in compliance with how they should keep their books and records as well as taxes with the Internal Revenue Service. In terms of the taxes right now, it asks who should file, and some people are saying, should I file? I didn't make that much money. But if they took any federal withholding from your taxes or from your W-2, you should file, because you may be able or entitled to get that refund and get that money back. So it's not, you just should go ahead on and file regardless of how much you made this year. Last year, rather.
Alrighty then. Alrighty. Well, let's start with some things that are new, Barbara. What is new out there that people should be aware of?
Well, some of the things that are new are things that they are expiring this year, and some of the things that are expiring is if you're an educator. And at one time, for many, many years, you get to write off like $250 if you were a school teacher or worked in the school system. But this year, it's no longer a write-off. So it's a lot of different deductions that you're not going to be able to write off for this year. Another one, if you have a child in a private school and you've been writing off the tuition for many years, this year you're no longer going to be able to write that school education tuition credit off. And that was entitling you to, a better refund or lower tax liability, but you're no longer going to be able to write it off. So they have several things that is expiring, and not too many things that you're going to be able to, new things that they're putting in place. Another thing is the sales tax. You used to be able to write off your sales tax, and they came up with a little formula based on how much you made on purchase, on how much you would purchase during the year. You're no longer going to be able to write that off. So it's a lot of things that's expiring, but they're not really bringing in a lot of new things. And if you, and a lot of forms they don't even have ready yet. So it's going to be mid-February, 1st of March before a lot of taxpayers are even able to e-file their returns because the forms are not ready. So it's not too many new things. The only thing that may be new is with the health care. If you're on a particular plan, then they have a few credits for the health care that Obama put in place. But as far as any other new things that you're going to be able to write off, it's not too many new things that's out there.
Well, I have a question for you. I was doing some research. And again, if you have any questions, 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680 is the number. Relating to the Affordable Health Care Act, I was reading, and they have a 3.8% Medicare investment tax that they say is out there. Now you got to make quite a bit of money before it applies to anything, but it's out there. From what I was reading, it said that, or perhaps do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know a little bit about it.
What's going on with that?
As far as the Medicare, what they did in 2012, which they went back to the norm in 2013, starting in January. But prior to that, they everybody got they got more in their salaries, and they lowered the amount of Social Security as well as Medicare that they were taking out. So you got more, but then the credit it's more for businesses than it was for individuals, where the businesses could come back and get a credit, because I'm a business owner, it was money that I had to subsidize for the amount that they took out, that they didn't take out on my employee. The employer was paying the additional amount, so we got a credit more on our corporate returns than on our personal returns. So it would kind of lower the business owners as a tax credit from the business return to reflect on the personal return once it flowed over to that. You do have to make quite a bit of money in terms for it to kick in, but if you're like making just a small amount and just in the lower, under $100,000 a year, it really didn't affect your tax return.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't want to hog up all the time. You guys don't have any questions over there?
What, Ms. Barbara, what would you say are some of the mistakes that a lot of people make when they try to file taxes? Maybe things that they could use as a deduction that they aren't using, or maybe they get to you and maybe they just have things all not together.
One of the things, if you're a homeowner, and you're able to file a Schedule A, which is where you deduct your mortgage interest, property taxes, as well as your contributions for church or to a nonprofit organization. A lot of people, they miss out on, if they do a lot of charitable mileage, if you go in places for a nonprofit organization and you're donating that time of volunteering, driving, you get to write off those charitable miles. You get to write off a lot of the, if you give a lot to charitable organizations, even if you don't own a home and it's over your standard deduction, which is like for an individual $5,800, and you give them more of that, then you can use that. And some people say, well, I don't really have a home or anything, and they don't even use the Schedule A. So that's another one that would lower your tax liability.
All right. I hear we got a caller. This man calls every week. We appreciate him. We always appreciate him. How you doing, Jimmy Shine?
Brother Jay Real and the Real Talk crew.
What's going on, man? What's
Hey,
what's your
before
question tonight?
Well, before I get into my question, I got a little story for y'all. In 1998, the King family, Dr. Martin Luther King's family, filed a wrongful death suit against the federal government for the wrongful death and assassination of Dr. King. At the end of the conclusion of the trial, they overwhelmingly found that unknown conspirators had plotted to kill Dr. King in a restaurant in somewhere in Alabama. As the insult here is this: they awarded the King family $100 for the death of Dr. King. Please read about that on my Facebook site, JimmyShine.627.
Say it one more time for him, Jimmy.
That's Facebook.com/Jimmy.Shine627.
$100, Jimmy.
$100 is what they awarded the King family and in their wrongful death lawsuit of one of the greatest civil rights leaders, human rights leaders in the world. It is incredible. Okay, now on to my question. I want to talk about Obamacare. I want to talk about the Affordable Care Act, which some of you probably have seen the commercials on television, where the lady is all smiling and talking about how she's gonna give you a total rundown of how much the Obamacare, something like if you don't accept the Affordable Care package, you're gonna have to pay a penalty or a penalty fee. Could you tell me a little about that?
You talking about for the taxes?
Yeah, for the income taxes. I mean, they're already taking $20 out of every paycheck. The Affordable Care Act, from what I understand. But now they're getting ready to stick their hands down in our income tax return. I'd like to find somebody who's an expert who could tell me a little bit more on that.
That doesn't start on this 2012 tax returns. It'll go in effect on next year for the 2013. Yeah, in 2014 for your 2013 tax returns. So it's not effective as of right now. So in terms of usually they don't make the total final laws for that particular year until like the end of this year. And then they'll start coming up with concrete information that we have to abide by once we're doing your return.
That is very unusual that commercial will come out, though, and say that, yes, I'll give you a total tax rundown on the Affordable Care Act and how much it's going to cost you if you refuse the penalty fee if you refuse the Affordable Care Act.
Right, but that's when that's in your payroll taxes or your payroll. Like once you're doing your getting your W-2s, not W-2s, but when you're filling out W-4s and on your paychecks and during the time of the year, so it'll probably be effective starting next year. But on the people taxes, that once you do that during the year of 2012 is when that wasn't going on people payroll during 2012, and that's the taxes we're doing now. Yeah. But for 2013, it would be effective on your payroll, and then it'll come into effect in terms of penalizing you then. So and that's probably what she was talking about. It's not going to be on the taxes for this.
How much is that penalty fee?
They haven't. I don't have that information at this time. I probably could find out for you and get back to you.
It's from what I remember now, and like they say, they change things all the time. As a individual, it was, I think, it was increasing. So that it started off at one rate the first year, and then it increased if you were sort of a repeat offender. But I don't remember the exact starting rate, but it seems like the maximum rate was around $1,200.
$1,200?
$1,200. It seems like what the max was in that fee. And then for a family, it wasn't an exact number. It was more of a percentage. For a family, but I can't quote the percentage right now, but it was more of a percentage for the family. But for the individual, the max was around $1,200. But again, it was supposed to start low, and then if you became the repeat offender, increase.
Repeat offender. offender.
Repeat offender, because at the end of the day, supposedly, if you take it at its face value, which again, we'll see how they approach it by the end of the year into going into 2014, it's supposed to be real simplistic. If you have the health insurance, then you don't worry about the fee. If you don't have the health insurance, then the fee applies, and it works its way into your taxes somehow. But yeah, they were saying relative to this year, the only thing I saw about the Affordable Health Care Act is that there's a 3.8% tax out there that's supposed to help with Medicare for individuals making over $200,000, and for filing jointly making over $250,000. That's out there, and then there's also a 0.9 percentage increase as well. I saw for individuals. It's more payroll tax increase, right. They say, for individuals again making $200,000 or $250,000 is what I saw out there relative to this year. And then next year, again, they're supposed to start the exchanges, and the plan starts October, and then they're supposed to be in effect by the end of the year. And then, you don't have that insurance somehow, one way or another, through your employer or through the Affordable Act there, you're going to get a penalty that you'll have to pay. From what I noticed, though, Jimmy, I'll be honest with you, I was running numbers on this whole thing. When you think about your insurance through your job, on average, you're probably paying, $300. Maybe if you have a family, you're probably paying about $300 a month. As an individual, usually paying about $100 a month. Right. At the end of the day, sometimes even more when you do the calculations. Because if you're the average healthy, quote unquote, individual, you may be seeing a doctor about once a year, so that it's almost to your benefit to just save the money throughout the year, collect some interest on it, and then just pay the penalty. And then if you do go to the doctor in the year, doctor's visits can be $100 here. You know what I'm saying? If you're only going once, that's $100. Right. And you can save the rest, make interest, and then just pull out the $1,200 or whatever the fee ends up being, and keep moving. You know what I mean? And kind of make it part of your little investment strategy for the year. So there's we'll see what works out, but it almost seems sort of like a joke, if you will, because at the end of the day, if you do get sick, they're going to take you anyway. So it don't even matter. They're going to take you anyway.
Here's my fear. My fear is that Obamacare, once you enroll in Obamacare, you are then susceptible to whatever the government wants you to do. If they want you to take multiple vaccines and you're against vaccines, sorry, you're in the program. You got to take the vaccine. If anything else should come up, anything else that you don't want medically, I'm sorry, you're in the program. You're going to have to go through with it. And that's what I don't want to get caught up in. So I'm going to turn down Obamacare. I'm going to refuse Obamacare and pay the penalty, because I don't like people putting the squeeze on me, making me do medical things that I don't want to do. So that's my statement.
That's your statement. Well, like I said, it's out there, brother, and we'll find out more as we get closer to the end of the year. But there's supposed to be, like I said, it's supposed to be sort of a rolling fee depending on how much of a repeat offender you are. And then repeat offender. and then they'll go from there. Because there's a lot to do with that. As far as they say, they had to push everything back this year and waiting for the response from the Congress this year, and then even rolling into next year. They have still a lot to do, because they still have to. You remember there was a provision as a part of the Health Care Act to increase the IRS by approximately 16,000 people. Yeah. So they still got a lot of people to hire. There's still a lot of programs that have to be written to cover for all of this stuff, and then who knows what they're going to do by the end of this year. You know what I'm saying? Right. Taxes are going to increase again. I'm sure some way somehow they're going to be trying to squeeze, especially if you make a bunch of money. And yet the high end of the spectrum, you make it over 400,000. I'm sure they're gonna come up with some new ways to squeeze you if you're making that kind of money by the end of the year. So it's gonna be completely different. But the fee will be out there if you're on the smart money. Like I said, go ahead and start taking your $100. You know what I'm saying? Put it in a little small investment account, maybe, you know, a little money market or something, and and just get prepared to take it out with, you know, less the interest that you've accrued throughout the year, and pay the penalty. And if you do need to go to the doctor, remember you can either pay for the doctor or there's a bunch of free clinics. There's a bunch of free clinics too, brother. They will see you too.
Thank you, bro.
No problem, brother. No problem.
All right.
All right, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680 is the number. You guys have any? I saw Miss Monica jumped on in. Anybody else want to jump on in? I know one thing they thinking about out there, Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know. Can I still get my child tax credit?
The child tax credit. You only can get the child tax credit if you have a child that's 16 or younger. Most times people feel like if they have a child in school or in college or whatever, they can still get the child tax credit. It doesn't apply if once they're over 16. And the child tax credit is $1,000 still, but you don't get it if your child turns over 6. If they turn 17, that's it. So that lowers your return if you've been getting it by $1,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can't claim children over the age of 16, huh?
You can claim them,
Uh-oh.
but you
Somebody
don't
lost
get the
one.
child tax credit. You can claim them, you just don't get the child tax credit. You still get the exemption for the child, but not the child tax
Not
credit.
the child tax credit.
Exactly.
Got to be 16 and younger, huh?
And younger, and I don't know why they made that number, because it seems like you start paying more for children when they get 16 and up. But that's the government rule. One of the things I wanted to say, and this is something that's probably a little bit of, you may have some questions, is about the same-sex couples. And they had an article at the RS that says, can the same-sex partners who are legally married for state law purposes, because it's not federal, where it's the same-sex is legal, but by state purposes, file federal tax returns using a married filing joint or married filing separate status. And the government says no, because the same-sex partner may not file using a married filing separate or joint status, because the federal law does not treat same-sex partners as married for federal tax purposes. So that's something that can go out for people who are in the same sex.
What about small businesses? What if I own a business?
Mm-hmm. If you own a business, first of all, it's based on how you're set up as an entity. If you're a sole proprietor or if you're LLC with a single member status, then you could file on a Schedule C. And if you bring into your tax preparer, you need to bring in what you made total income. And it's really good that you open up a bank account, because a lot of small businesses that are, they don't open up business accounts. And the government is looking at that a lot closer now. So you need to, of course, have your federal ID number and your business name when you're going into the bank to open it up. But you need to have the expenses that you incurred for the year, and then have it all written out, because you can't just come in off the top of your head talking about expenses when you got to have something in writing. And we have to document everything this year, because they're finding tax preparers if you are putting information on the return and you don't have anything written and have notations about it. But you can write that off, and if you have a job and you have a business, you're able to write off the if you have a loss, it flows over and lowers your adjusted gross income. But if you have a what is excise tax on the Cadillac plan? That's what you're asking? Somebody's asking that question?
Yeah, somebody asked that.
Oh, the excise tax is when you have, it's more like, it's not sales tax, but it's more of a tax that it's like sales tax. If you have a business, then you can write off the taxes that you've incurred on that car. So then but you can't use writing off the mileage and do the excise tax and the depreciation. You can only use, if you're doing the mileage, like you say, I drove this number of miles, and your tax preparer uses that, you can't go in and write off all these other things with the mileage, because that's inclusive of the mileage, because you get 55.5 cents. 55.5 cents for every mile that you drive. So that's the only one you can use. But if you want to go detail and use how much fuel, how much excise tax, how much you paid for oil changes, and get the exact amount, then you use that. But you get a better deal if you go and do the mileage. Mm-hmm. You get more written off. So yeah, you can use that, and if you lease a car, then you can use the amount that you are paying monthly for the leased vehicle. So that's a good deal as well. So businesses kind of get a lot more, it's a lot different than when you're doing a personal individual tax. If you have a S corporation, which is what I think Ms. Monica has, you set that up, and then you have another tax return where they're not as prone to audits as if you are doing a Schedule C, which is on a personal tax return where it is more prone to audit.
All right. We got any other questions in there, Mr. King? Not yet? All right, no problem.
How many kids can I claim? Can I still claim 3, or I can only claim 2?
Well, the most that you can claim in terms of getting earned income credit, it used to be at one time you can just claim 2 and get it, but now they've increased it to 3. So if you have 3 children and you'll get more money for the earned income credit with claiming 3. But if you don't get earned income credit, of course you can claim all your children. If you got 5, 10, and you're going to get, the exemption for the child. But in regards to earned income credit, the max is 3.
So is it true that I can write off my washer and dryer and other things of that nature?
Write it off on what? On your personal return?
Yeah, on my personal return. If I got like an energy saver or something like that.
Oh, for the energy tax credit. Yeah, that's if it's that energy saving, it has to be documented on the paperwork when you buy it. Then you can write, that's a credit of like $500. They still have that in existence. And that form is not even ready. So if you're using that form, you're not going to be able to file tomorrow. You won't be able to file until March. Wow. Because that form is not even ready. They have a list of forms that's not even completed yet, and that's one of them.
So they're changing up the forms and everything?
Well, they just say that they're claiming that they're not ready for us to even put them in the system. They don't even have them in the software yet.
Right. You have to remember they came up with a lot of these rules a few days
at the end of the year.
at the end of the year, and then even into the beginning of the year.
Right.
So the IRS is really behind because it can't do anything, because a lot of this stuff is new, or at least the numbers for it may be new. And so they have to sort of wait till the Congress says this is what we're doing this year, and then they can go out and create software. They can go out and create forms, which is like she said, you can't file until, for some people, tomorrow. For others, it's going to be February.
Late February.
And then for others, it may even be into March before you can even begin filing, depending on your personal situation. So that's sort of one of those things where, people say, the Congress is, lollygagging, if you will. When they lollygag, this is what happens. This is what happens. Now for some people, they can't file their taxes till March. And if you're one of those people that was hoping to get some kind of refund back, now you got to wait till March to even be able to submit the information. So it could be into April or the beginning of April, before you even see some kind of return that you're expecting. So it kind of puts everything on the back burner when this kind of thing happens with Congress.
Another thing, Jimmy, is that because of the fraud that's happening now, where people are stealing people's identity and We were just talking earlier how they're doing even credit cards, but they're stealing. One of the things that they talked about when I went to the tax classes is that even the drug dealers, they're not selling drugs anymore. They're doing tax returns now.
What?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
they say they have. They call it drop money. So
what?
it's so much out there that they're trying to protect the taxpayers against falling into these situations. That's one of the reasons that they're delaying a lot of the time for doing it, because they're trying to see ways of being able to prevent these fraudulent taxes being done and people identity being stolen. So in terms of that, it's delaying. It's going to also delay when you get your tax refund. They don't even have the tax. They used to have a chart called a recycle chart that tells us when your return, if you e-file on this day, you'll get your money on this day. They don't. That's gone. They don't even have that anymore. They said it may take anywhere from 21 days before you may even get your return, your refund, if you're getting a refund. So it's prolonging that as well. So it's so many things that's in play this year that I said, Lord, don't let the people come in shooting up tax preparers just because, it's taking long to get their refund because we don't have anything to do with it. It's the way the system is being handled now because there's so much out there that's being, that's coming into play.
Yeah.
Okay. 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894. Talking taxes with B.J. Adams and Associates. Give us a call. What about tax brackets? What about tax brackets? Were there any changes to the tax brackets from the previous year?
Well, one of the things is, that's why the Congress was set up, because they're trying to, according to Obama, the way he's setting up is that he wants the rich to pay more in taxes. So they eliminated the thing where someone died, like what was the man name? I can't remember, that owned the Chicago, the baseball team, and he died the right year, they said, because...
Not Steinbrenner. Was it Steinbrenner?
Steinbrenner's New York.
No, the one that owned Chicago.
I remember the one that owned Chicago.
Right.
I know who you talked about.
Yeah, he died in 2010. And, Bush, of course, had the thing in place where if you had descendants that were going to get your money, inherited taxes, you didn't have to pay anything on that, doing that, and it ended. So they extended it through 11, but this year they're going to have to pay, a lot of money. So if someone rich dies right now and they have, people that are supposed to get the money, they're going to be paying a large amount of taxes on that. So that's expired now. So they were trying not to, because the rich, of course, don't want to pay a lot of taxes. But
let's not put that on the rich.
Yeah, they don't.
Poor people don't want to pay no taxes either.
Nobody want to pay taxes, because they were talking about how is it legally that we're supposed to really be paying taxes. So that's a whole nother story. But if you better pay, because they say two things is that you're going to stay what you are and you're going to pay taxes. So you might as well don't try to get around it.
Yes.
One way or the other. You might be getting a refund, but in certain ways, but you paid some taxes during the year. Somewhere they're taking it out, so don't ever think you're getting by.
So who exactly can e-file? Let's say they come to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Who would be able to know for sure that they should expect something at least within a month or so?
Okay.
They can come in tomorrow.
The only people that could be able to e-file tomorrow, if you have a W-2, and you have children, you don't have any kind of depreciation schedule, meaning like if you have a business and you're saying you own cars or clothes or, selling this kind of stuff, and you got depreciation on that, you won't be able to e-file tomorrow. But the people you just got a straight W-2. You don't have any education credit, like you didn't go to college or any of those things, and you're just getting the earned income credit. You just have a W-2 and you're just getting the money back that you just normally just a plain tax return.
Okay, so like your usual 1040 EZs or something like
Yeah, EZs. Or you can have a 1040, but you just can't have anybody going to college or in school, because you're gonna miss. You want everything that you're supposed to get. If you don't want to leave any money on the table. So just to try to rush to get a return done, and you know that you went to school and you got your 10. Oh, that's the other thing. You gotta have that 1098T. That's a form that is you in school, because so many preparers people were putting on their tax return that they were in school and they weren't in school. So now the government is requiring you to. They've made that form totally different, that you have to put in the EIN number of the school, the address of the school, how much that form said that you actually received in terms of your tuition or scholarship or whatever on the form. So now, so you won't even be able to find. It's a simple, straight return that you're not really having anything but your children and yourself. You can still have daycare. If you have that to write off, you can write that off. But that's it. So they said 120 million people should be filing tomorrow, but I'm not seeing it. I don't feel. I got a lot of appointments tomorrow, but I've already done a lot of returns, and they're going to even be sitting because most of them had their education credit. And I don't want to leave $2,500 to $1,000 on the table when they can get that, but they just have to wait. So I think everybody this year, the word is patience.
Patience.
It's a virtue.
Wow.
So don't rush. Don't try to rush and get something. And don't try to do an amended, because then you're going to put a red flag up. So just leave it like it is and just take your time and get everything that you're supposed to get, even if the form is not ready, and then just wait for it.
Okay. It actually was Steinbrenner who died
in 2010. Yeah.
The gentleman that owns the Yankees.
Oh, it was the New York Yankees. Okay.
Yeah, it was Steinbrenner. They saved quite a bit of money that year when he died.
A little bit.
They say he died the right time.
Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that crazy? But when you're rich like that, those things come into play.
Right.
Some people don't know about that kind of money.
Right, exactly.
Man.
And it was actually the Chicago Cubs owner who didn't benefit from it, actually.
Okay.
That's what happened.
Okay, that's
he was
what
the
it was.
one, due to the taxes that the family had to pay, they actually ended up having to sell the team to be able to cover some of the taxes related to the estate. So that's
estate tax.
Yeah, Joe Robbie, the Miami Dolphins owner, his family had ended up having to do the same thing, selling the team so that they could afford to pay the estate taxes. It wasn't last year, but he had that same problem.
Okay.
It wasn't last year, but he had that, or 2010, but he still had the same problem because of those estate taxes.
There was something I remember when this happened. Either more stories came out about people either prolonging the life of someone who was about to die, or finding a way to make them sicker so that they die in that window.
That time, right?
Yeah,
it was a big deal doing that.
It saves you a lot of money, man, when you're on that plane with that loved one.
All them greedy kids and grandkids, ain't no use of rushing them to the grave.
Let them hold out for a little bit longer.
Hold on, granddaddy. Hold on.
Make sure your debt's in order.
Yes, that estate tax can hit you hard, because it's a amount that you can get to that you don't have to pay anything. In that particular year, you didn't have to pay anything based on what you had.
I think it was, isn't it less than $5 million, I believe?
Right, that's the amount that's now. But in that year, it was no. They didn't have a certain amount over.
I think they said $3.5 million in 2010. 3.5 million is what it was. Okay. Well, just piggybacking now. I don't know what the audience and what the income of the audience is out there, but the biggest change, in the brackets came for the higher income earners. They're the ones that saw the increase going back to the 39.6%. If you make over 400,000 as an individual or 450,000 as a couple. So you guys are going to see your rate go up to 39.6, and then if you make less than that, you're either at the 35, 33, 28, 25, 10, or 15, which is the same as it was last year. So that you had that, and then the capital gains, I think, went up for those individuals as well. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Capital gain went up to like 30, I think 35. It was like 30% before. But the capital, in terms of like if you got investments, like if you just making investment money and you're not really making earned income, it's a difference between what you make on a W-2 or
the difference
income.
in being Mitt Romney and somebody else.
Well,
because that's how Mitt Romney makes his money.
Yeah, because he makes his money, right, exactly.
He makes his
through
money
investments.
From
And they don't, that's why his tax rate is so low, because investments don't pay as much as if you're getting a regular salary. But
Right.
people don't understand the difference in that, and that's that's a class, Jimmy.
It's a class. You know
Class.
what? You know, I find it really simple to understand sort of the idea, because ultimately what Mitt Romney and other individuals like him who've made it to that status where they just they earn an income based off investments they've made through their life,
Mm-hmm.
is ultimately they had a job of some kind. They made money off of that job. They paid taxes on whatever salary they got from that job. They did a good thing. They found different investments to invest in, and then at some point they decided that their investment income was so good that they would rather just live off of their investment income and then collect their capital gains,
Mm-hmm.
and then live off of their capital gains. So that ultimately, in Mitt Romney's case, yes, he did pay a lower percentage on his capital gains, but, couple that with the initial money that he made from whatever salary he was obtaining, he did ultimately pay, a larger percentage or a large percentage collectively over that time. He didn't just pay 15%. It's sort of like the benefits of making money without working. That's what I look at it as. It's the benefit.
Warren Buffett's thoughts on it is totally different than Mitt Romney. He said that his secretary paid more taxes than he did, and he was willing to pay. I think he did pay in more just voluntarily, but he could have probably, I think what he should have done is say, well, I'm going to grab up some of these people who have to pay a lot and pay their taxes, and then it would have benefited somebody. But I'm sure, he may have. We don't know.
He may have. But he's a shady one anyway, because he like Mr. Bill Gates is also donating a large portion of their what's what I'm looking for here, donating a large portion of their fortune before they die, which it is a good thing that they're donating this money. But it also helps. It also kind of hurts the government in the long run, because this is also now going to be money that can't be taxed. And so when you're talking about a man that's worth what I think he's $40-something billion. I think the last number I saw on him, and he's given $20 billion of that away. That's 50%, 40%, whatever that number is of $50 billion or $20 billion is quite the number. So it's quite the number.
Even when you make that kind of money and you contribute it to nonprofit, you only can write off a certain percentage. You can't. All of that is not tax deductible now. I mean, you can't write all that off.
No, I'm talking about the estate. Though.
Oh, okay.
The state's going to be able to write all of that off and not pay on it. So
yeah.
So that's what we're losing on the estate tax, is what I'm suggesting.
No, you're not losing it. You got to have it first. To lose something, you must have it. You have to have possession of it. If you don't have possession of it, you didn't lose it. You just never got it.
Right. It's not.
More power to them.
Yeah, it's not affecting them at all.
Start me a charity. I'm calling Microsoft
That's
tomorrow.
why I said it would have had a more impact if he could have paid some people that really, that it was affecting. So.
Well, the rich are paying more, or a little bit more anyway, in taxes this year. So kudos to the president. One of his main tenets was accomplished. we'll leave that alone. 407-894-1680 is the number. If you got any last minute questions for BJ Adams and Associates, before time runs away on us, let them know how they can contact you.
Okay, you can contact me. I have a website at www.bjadams.org, or you can contact my office at 407-926-0229. And we're in the Regions Bank building on Kirkman Road, right across from University Studios, in Suite 310. So we're open every day, Monday through Saturdays, during tax seasons from 9 to 6, and appointments only after 6 o'clock. And then I also have an office in Atlanta. And if it's anybody listening on the, I know that I listen sometimes to your radio show when I'm in my Atlanta office on the internet. I have an office in Smyrna, Georgia, and the number there is 770-432-1040.
All right, so BJ Adams and Associates is available to, if you're in Central Florida, she's got you. If you in Georgia, specifically Atlanta area, she's got you too. We just want to thank BJ Adams and Associates for stopping by tonight. We appreciate it. Thank you.
A lot of helpful information.
Yes.
Learned a lot.
Yes. So January 30th, if you're going to file, you better give her a call. The lines are building. The appointments are already set, she says. So she'll have to work you in at some point, maybe next week, but she'll get you in. So thank you for coming down. We only got a few minutes left. Just a quick couple comments. So we're coming into the month of February. I've been sending out some posts on Facebook. Let me reach out over the air as well. We're looking to kind of bring some people in the month of February to sort of shout out their business, if you will. So if you do have a business out there, you want a little bit of plug on the radio, maybe even come down, offer your services to the audience, maybe let them ask questions of you, see how you might be able to help them. Reach out to us. RealFamilyTalk@gmail.com is the email address. RealFamilyTalk@gmail.com is the email address. Reach out to us. Let us know what you do, and maybe we can form a partnership, if you will, and get you up here, or at least talk about you on the air a little bit. RealFamilyTalk@gmail.com is the email address. Reach out to us. Another thing, moving into this year, one of the things that we want to do this year is get involved more in the community. And so if you have anything going on in the community, and if it's for free, and you want a plug, give us a shout out too. Same email address, realfamilytalk@gmail.com. Now, if you get paid, we would like to get paid too. But if it's for the community and it's for free, give us a shout out. And again, we can work something out, maybe some plugs, or get you up here in the studio so that you can talk about your event, or even if it's anything you would like us to, again, advertise, come out to, reach out to us. We definitely want to get Real Family Talk out there and amongst the people this year. That's one of the goals that we're going to do this year. So reach out to us. We can't read everything. Everything's not advertised in the newspapers and so forth. So reach out to us, and we will certainly do our part to sort of help out in that area. RealFamilyTalk at gmail.com. Yes, Ms. McCray.
I want to shout out something that has been advertised on Real Family Talk is the Zumbathon. My Zumbathon for my fun, which was this past Saturday, was fantastic. It was a success. So to any listener that showed up, thank you. Thank you to the community in advance, and thank you to Tarsha Smith for being a wonderful instructor with her other Zumba instructors too.
Yes,
Tarsha it was fantastic. So that's an example. We're talking about it on Real Family Talk. People show up.
Yes, Tarsha Smith. Awesome Zumba instructor. Best in the city, they say.
Best in the city.
Best in the city, they tell me. Shout out to everybody that helped out on the Zumbathon. Again, that was for Miss McCray and helping her raise funds towards her her liver transplant that she's going to have this year. It's going down this year. So shout out to everybody that helped out. I think they raised, they tell me, over $1,000 at that event for Miss McCray here. So a lot of love was shown that day. And of course, we show Miss McCray love all the time. All the time, Miss McCray.
All the time.
Yes. So shout out to everybody that did that. Anybody got any last minute comments real quick?
Oh, I wanted to say I also do pastor's taxes as well, because that's a little different than the regular tax returns do. So a lot of pastors that's out there, your taxes, you shouldn't be owing money. You should be getting something back if you have any kids or anything. Other than that, you shouldn't be owing the government anything.
All right. So pastors, y'all better reach out. B.J. Adams and Associates. She's telling you now. She's going to get you some money back in your pocket. And I know as the pastor, you need that money. You need that money coming back. Church got to be supported. Church got to be supported. WOKB 1680 AM is the station. Your urban empowerment and inspiration station. So we're going to go ahead and close out the show. We're going to see you next week, same time, 9 p.m. on WOKB 1680 AM. Remember, you can check out the website and listen there as well, RealFamilyTalk.weebly.com. We'll see you next week, folks. Thanks for listening. You can follow us on Facebook, Real Family Talk. You can follow us on Twitter, Real Family Talk. The website, RealFamilyTalk.weebly.com.
WOKB, Winter Garden, Orlando.